Hey everybody, it's Carlton French. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Single Man Podcast. Today we've got my mom and dad, my good friends, Logan and Brittany Harris here tonight.
Let's go.
Let's go.
God, I don't know where to even start. I'm going to say no to drugs. I'm going to say no to alcohol. I just want to fully say yes to you.
So how long were you single before you met Brittany?
I ended my last relationship on my birthday, actually. And then
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
This man, he fully loves the Lord. He is pursuing God. He's a man of God. He is serving the Lord, the church, God's kingdom, God's people. And I was just like, this is just so amazing to be surrounded by a man who has great community, but just loves Jesus so much. I felt like I was in a movie. I was just like enchanted.
marriage is awesome. Marriage is so awesome. Becoming one with another human being, I still have a hard time wrapping my mind around that.
It's not you versus me, it's you and I versus pickleball.
Attractiveness fades, money fades, status fades, wealth fades, fame fades. You know, all of these things that the world is trying to sell you, they can be taken away.
Are you actively praying for your future spouse in your future marriage?
Welcome to the Single Man Podcast, where we delve into candid conversations with Christian men about their journey to faith, advice for their younger selves, and navigating dating. With a heart to reach men from all walks of life, dive into real stories of redemption, growth, and the hope found in following Jesus. I'm your host, Carlton French, a 30-year-old single Christian, and I'm excited for you to listen to this week's episode. Let's jump into it. Hey everybody, it's Carlton French. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Single Man Podcast. I am really excited, maybe the most excited I've been for an episode. Today we've got my mom and dad, my good friends, Logan and Brittany Harris here tonight.
Let's go.
Let's go.
How are you guys doing?
Doing awesome. Just so thankful to be here, to be with our son, get to do this as a family.
Come on.
So excited to be here.
It's been a long time coming. Logan was on episode 5 of the Single Man Podcast when he was an engaged man at the time.
Yep.
And that was actually the second episode that I ever filmed for the Single Man Podcast. And now to be here toward the end of the 52 episodes and having you back, Logan, as a married man, and have your wonderful wife, Brittany Harris, here with you is just really, really encouraging. So maybe I could give some context why I call you all my mom and dad, and then we can jump into the episode. But we kind of all met, without revealing you guys' dating story, but we kind of all met through like me inviting both of you to an event, and I just created a group text like after the three of us had been getting to know one another for a little bit of time called Mom and Dad plus Carlton after y'all had started dating. And yeah, it's just been awesome, like kind of walking with y'all through the dating process and engagement and now marriage, and y'all just being willing to adopt me into y'all's family. It means a lot to me as a single man still myself.
Well, we're so glad to have you, son. Very proud of you, and just so excited to get to share kind of the conclusion of my journey from engagement to now being married to my lovely, beautiful wife.
And we're just so thankful for your friendship. Like you have poured and invested and loved on us so well. And, you know, we hope that we've been like that to you. And so it's been such an honor and joy to do this with you, especially when you started the podcast, just brainstorming that, but just walking through life together. And it's just been such a joy. I feel like we do so much together. We've made so many memories, and we're going to continue to make more. And so we're just so thankful to be in your life, and thank you for being in ours. Yeah,
that means a lot. And I was just thinking before we even started that y'all were the first two people I even told about the idea of doing this podcast back when I felt like God gave me the vision for it in 2023. And so, yeah, just excited to have you both here and jump in to your story. So would love for maybe each of you to give like a quick summary of kind of your testimony, like how you came to know who Jesus was and what he had done for you personally.
Yeah, I can give a quick recap. I said my testimony in episode 5, but just a quick recap. I grew up going to church. My family and I went to a Methodist church. I'm originally from Holly Springs, North Carolina. It used to be a really kind of small town and very traditional church. Preacher, you've got to get in your Sunday best. Preacher would be high up on the pulpit and giving a message that I wouldn't understand as, a first, second, third grader. And we would have to drive 20, 25 minutes to the church, back from the church. And I just learned to really dislike church. It was something that took up pretty much my whole Sunday, when I would rather be watching TV or playing Xbox or doing what elementary school kid would want to do. And me and my brother just made it terrible for my parents to take us to church. We would be disrespectful, fighting, yelling in church. Like, they would have to take us out of church so we could leave early. Like, that was a plan. But eventually we just stopped going to church in 5th grade, and kind of went church shopping a little bit when I was in 6th grade, but never really found another church. And then my life completely changed in 7th grade when some just classmates on my bus invited me to go to basically a Wednesday night youth night. We kind of have them here, but it's just a bunch of kids and a rock concert basically, and then a 5-minute sermon after. And that really kind of hooked me. I was like, I've never experienced this kind of modern rock style worship, and I was hooked, and I wanted to check it out, and I wanted to know further. So I made my parents drag me to the church, and when I got there, it kind of reminded me of the old traditional style. So I got plugged in with a small group there, and that's when I met my small group leader, Derek Taylor, and he started to pour into me, invest into me, challenge me to read the Bible, challenged me to get to know the other people in my small group, and just showed me a love and a joy to life that I had never seen or experienced before. And that's what pushed me towards being like, oh, this guy's got something. I need that. And then once, he's like, oh, if you want that, just, read this in the book, in the Bible. And and so I started to read the gospel, and that's the first time that I really understood the gospel and heard it. And so when I was 13, accepted Christ, and from that point on, I found the hope and the joy, and kind of the fear and uncertainty of life kind of got pushed into the background after that. My life completely got changed after that point.
Yeah, that's great. And you talk more about in detail everything on episode 5 if anybody wants to hear Logan's full story. Well, that's great, man. How about you, Brittany? What's your story? You're new to the Single Man podcast.
Yeah.
Grateful to have you here.
Yes. So I grew up in the Catholic Church. And then my junior year of high school, I started to get, have questions about what it's like to have a relationship with Jesus. Because in the Catholic Church, I just looked at it as I had to follow all these rules to go to heaven. I had to do this, this, and this. I had to act like this. I had to say these specific prayers. And junior year of high school, a friend invited me to Passion City Church, and I was like, whoa, this is so different. Like, they talked about like reading the Bible. And at that point, I've never read the Bible on my own at home and pursue a relationship with Jesus. But then later on, my junior year of high school, my parents got a divorce. And so I was just transitioning a lot because I'm like leaving something that I was used to my whole life, and now being interested in questioning, like, what is it like to have a relationship with Jesus and pursue that? And I remember laying in my bed and I was like, God, I don't know where to even start, but I know that I want to follow you. And with everything that's going on, my parents' divorce, like, I'm going to say no to drugs. I'm going to say no to alcohol. I just want to fully say yes to you. And so to that point, my relationship with Jesus just continued to grow. I joined a college ministry called the Living Room North, and that's where I grew like exponentially in my faith. I was in a relationship at the time, and there were obviously some things which I will touch on later that kind of also hindered me, but also like pulled me back a little bit from fully pursuing my relationship with Jesus. But eventually that relationship ended, and I just was completely on fire for the Lord. Just being so all in, joining a college ministry, church community, my friends in my sorority, they were such big Christ followers. And so I just really got to see the glimpse of what it's like to fully pursue a relationship with Jesus, but also to be fully invested by a Christian community. And there was so much blessing and fruit that came out of that. And I'm just so thankful for those people and just having the opportunity to get to know so much about the Lord and just what it's like to fully embrace my faith and how Jesus has completely changed my life since then.
Wow. Was there a certain point or like moment where you like understood what Jesus did for you personally, you'd say? Or
yeah.
was it just like all that kind of in culmination at some point?
Yeah, I think it was throughout time, but I would say when my relationship ended, which like I said, I'll touch on later, but like when that relationship ended, I was like, I need to get my relationship with the Lord like first. Like I need to prioritize that because I need to know the foundation of my life, and that needs to be Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. How old were you when that happened?
That was when I was like 20.
20. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And you were, was it 7th grade you said, Logan?
Yes. 7th grade.
Nice.
13.
13.
Just
come on.
13.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned a little bit, Brittany, like you were in a relationship before you met Logan. And Logan, people that have watched your episode 5, they would know that you dated before Brittany. So talk a little bit about what dating was like before you two met one another.
Yeah. So I was in a 4-year relationship. It started my junior year of high school and ended my junior year of college. And that relationship was not centered around Christ. And honestly, I look back and it honestly breaks my heart that, Jesus was not in the center of that. There were just so much heartbreak and just a lot of shame in the decisions that were made, but I just knew that I wasn't loving, serving, or caring for this person the way that Jesus, would want me to. We didn't have conversations about the Lord, and I very much idolized that relationship, to be honest, because I was in the middle of my parents' divorce, and so instead of running to the Lord, I was running to Him. And so it brought so much brokenness in my heart, but I idolized that because I was trying to fill something that was only gonna, fill my heart temporarily.
Yeah.
And not fully. And so just like being in that kind of relationship, and when it was no longer in my life, I told God and I was like, I don't want to do this without you ever again in my future relationships.
Yeah.
And so I was single for about 3 years before I met Logan. And I dated and went on dates here and there, but every single time the first thing I asked was not, are you a Christian, but are you pursuing a relationship with Jesus? And I also was very much asking the Holy Spirit to guide me in those conversations and my time with that person. And let me tell you, the Holy Spirit was so quick and was like, yeah, no. And I was like, okay. Then, I would kindly say to them, thank you so much. It was been so great to getting to know you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate like your time and your willingness to be vulnerable. But this is where the Holy Spirit is leading me. And they honored that and was so respectful. And so I would say that after I got on my 4-year relationship, I would say that I, dated the best that I could.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
How about you, Logan?
For me, it was kind of similar, but becoming a Christ follower so young, I think my parents as well painted the picture of, when you date somebody, when you get in a relationship, like just kind of go all in, and like that's going to be your wife, and like you really got to put yourself out there, be yourself. And that's kind of how I handled my relationships. My first long distance my first long relationship started at the end of high school, and just kind of went all in and was like, oh, this girl's awesome, she's going to be my wife. And then, life happened. We ended up being long distance, going to different colleges, and that just kind of put a rift in our relationship, and it was just difficult. And it took me 3 times, but it was the same pattern. I was, going all in early on into the relationship, and then life happens, long distance happens, lack of communication happens, and then it just all breaks down because I'm kind of looked more into that person, like Brittany said, than to, I need to have a relationship with God first, and I need to lean on that first, and not this person in front of me. And I think that was something that we can talk about later, but that I needed to change for our relationship to truly work and be successful, at least for me personally.
Yeah. So how long were you single before you met Brittany?
So I was single I ended my last relationship on my birthday, actually. So in February.
Yeah.
And then
happy birthday.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting story, but one for another day. But broke up with my girlfriend on my birthday, and then I think I met Brittany for the first time in September, so only about 6 months, but those 6 months were, I would say, very, very crucial for me. I definitely locked in those 6 months. I went to the gym constantly, probably an unhealthy amount, went to the gym, focused on myself and focused on my mentality and what I wanted to look like for the future, and also reflect on what I wasn't going to do again. And that was, I'm not going to go all in right at the beginning. I'm not going to, I'm going to evaluate and take my time and have a clear and sober mind about things.
Yeah, that's great. So then the story of how y'all met, would love to hear that from each of your perspectives. September 2022 it was.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And honestly, when we did meet, I definitely, at least from my point of view, took longer to come around to the fact. Our date of first meeting for me wasn't like oh my gosh, I just met my wife. It was just like, oh, I just went to like a group gathering and met a cool person, Yeah. Like it wasn't like all that. I was still like considered myself very single and like in my other relationship. But the story is we went to the North Georgia State Fair that Carlton invited us to. So he invited me, and honestly, the only reason that I wanted to go is from my childhood. The North Carolina State Fair always had the best turkey legs, and that's what I was going for, and the only reason I was going. And we got there, and the first turkey leg stand. I stood in the line for 20 minutes, got a $20 turkey leg, and just chowed down. I was happy from then on. So
that's so funny, because I think about, even from the beginning though, just getting to the fair, of how hard it was, because the traffic was just insane.
Yeah.
And also, I just got done working a 12-hour shift at the hospital that I was like, I am so exhausted and I have to wait in this long line of traffic. I'm like, I don't want to go. But the only reason why not only reason why, but I showed up because I remember I told you that I would bring you cash because you needed cash.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can't leave Carl today. And so, but I remember, meeting some of the people that I didn't know. And then I see Logan, and first thing I noticed is his bright blue eyes. And I felt like he was staring into my soul. Like, it was like a look of like, I don't even know how to explain it other than like, I felt like I was in a movie. Like,
really? Wow.
Like, I was just like enchanted, literally. But it wasn't until later on, because my girl Tiffany, which I love her, she's amazing. But she is the one that came with me as well to the North Georgia State Fair, and we were just all standing in line. You were there too, for the Himalayas, and that was the only ride we rode that night, actually, because it was so busy. Yeah, I was like, we are standing in line for 2 hours for this ride, but it was great. But anyways, me and Tiffany were in conversation, and my peripheral vision, I saw that Logan was standing behind us, and me and Tiffany are talking, but I could feel like Logan was kind of listening to our conversation. So in my mind, I was like, if he's going to listen to our conversation, I'm going to make him talk. So I turned my head and I'm like, so Logan, tell me about yourself. And I was just like completely like, caught him off guard, because he's just chowing down on this turkey leg. Yeah. Like, he's just so focused on it. And I'm pretty sure he like took a big gulp, and then he like was like, well, I'm from North Carolina. And then I found out that he also serves in students as well as me. And then we have mutual friends. And I'm like, why haven't seen you? This is crazy.
Yeah.
But ever since that night, like, I would remember Logan in the back of my head. And but I remember walking back to the car with Tiffany, and Tiffany was just like, he likes you. And I'm like, I don't know. And I wanted to be like, yeah, he does like me, but I wasn't sure. But, come to find out, here we are.
Yeah. Come on. That's awesome. So it was just stuck in line next to each other for 2 hours, maybe, like helped spark some of the discussion, and including Logan in the conversation. And what was that like when she started asking you questions, Logan? I
mean, at first it was obviously just the typical get to know you questions, and I was like, oh, okay, like, I'll entertain this. But one of the first things we did like connect on was playing Texas Hold'em with our families. And from that point on, I was like, okay, like, I can relate to her. I know, like, we have a common ground, and we kind of talked about that for a little bit. And so I would say from then on, like, it wasn't just like a forgettable, hey, get to know you. It was like, oh, this, like, she's like very nice, bubbly, but also like I can relate to her, and like we have, something in common, and something, a familiar face. And but yeah, I wasn't like,
you didn't leave that night after the fair like, oh my gosh,
yeah, it was
best conversation of my life.
Yeah. No, but it was a great conversation,
Sure.
But I would say like that night, like I wasn't like, oh my gosh, my life's changed, like I gotta like follow this group. But I knew in the back of my mind, like I didn't discount her being like, oh, I'm never gonna like talk to this girl or like date this girl again. But in my mind, it was just like a door opened, and not one that I'm going to like lose sleep over, but also one that I'm not going to close the door on.
Yeah. So. Okay. So what was it like from there? Okay, you leave the fair September. What sparked y'all to actually go on a date?
Yeah, so I guess it's more on my end, like what changed for me. And really it was just every time I saw her, whether it be at a rising, like a students' night where we both lead students and we saw each other, or just randomly at a young adults event or something like that, she would always intentionally, when we locked eyes or saw each other, she would intentionally come up to me and be filled with joy, be filled with a genuine, I want to get to know you more.
I was very excited.
Yeah, very, very excited.
But before that, like you had been involved at the same church, but you never had met, or you never crossed paths, right?
Never.
No, yeah.
But after meeting, I would say it's kind of one of those things where, you know, you don't see a car, but when you go shopping for it, oh, I see them everywhere on the road.
Yeah.
And so maybe we were like in the same room, but had never met before that. But after that, it was like every week, every 2 weeks, I'm seeing her just around church at different events. And that genuine want and wanting to get to know you and wanting and genuine care about me reminded me of earlier of my leader, Derek Taylor, like really genuinely caring about me as a person and investing in me and wanting me to know the Lord and challenging me to be like, hey, read your Bible. And like it brought me back to like, wow, this person cares so much about me and doesn't know a whole lot about me. Like, why? And so eventually that brought me to the place of, wow, she's got just so much of the Holy Spirit inside of her that she just genuinely cares about people. She genuinely has a lot of joy, a lot of happiness inside of her, and she genuinely wants to have intentional conversations with people and wants to, you know, spread the love of Christ to other people. And that's the reason why she did that. That took a little bit more investigating from my part, you know, asking her on a coffee date and like, hey, what's your story? Like, you know, I'm so curious how you're like this. Why are you like this? But it was also, you know, it took time. It's like the first time it's like, oh, is she always like that? You know, is she always that joyful, happy? But, you know, I saw the pattern over and over and over again. And then it made me ask the question, like, why? Why? How could somebody be like that? You know?
And what was it like for you, Brittany, after the fair and like your friends like, hey, that guy liked you, and then you're like, oh, I don't know, but then like you kept seeing him around, and how were you processing that with God?
I will say that every time that I saw him, I was very, very excited, and I would tell my friends like, hey, I saw Logan today, you know. Like, and they're like, yeah, how'd it go? And I was like, I'll like tell them what we talked about, and you know, they're hyping me up, and you know, you gotta love your gal friends. They hype you up. But I will say there was a time where we were at a friend's welcome home party, and she just bought this place or just rented it out, I'm not sure, but a housewarming party, and he ended up being there, and we had such a great conversation, and unfortunately he had to leave to go to Athens, and so we never finished our conversation. But I kind of said to him, you know, would love to finish this conversation over coffee. But I'm going to be honest, that just came out of my mouth. It was intentional because I would love to like continue the conversation, but I was like, I don't know if he's going to really follow up with that.
Yeah, right.
And he did. He got my number, and he then asked me to go get coffee. And I always say it's so funny because we did everything backwards. Like the first time that we hung out one-on-one, we just went full send on our testimonies, talked about our, you know, intentions with dating, that we're dating to marry, as well as what our dating history is like. Like, we were just so vulnerable with each other, and really vulnerability created vulnerability for us. It felt like spirit led. And I just remember before we had that coffee one-on-one, like I was praying every single day about our conversation, for the Spirit just to lead our hearts and our minds and what to share, and just also just be fully vulnerable of how Jesus has changed both of our lives. And I think that us doing that on day one just was so like heartwarming for me, but just gave me a lot of peace because I'm just like, wow, like this man, he fully loves the Lord. He is pursuing God. He's a man of God. He is serving the Lord, the church, God's kingdom, God's people. And I was just like, this is just so amazing to be surrounded by a man who, like, yes, I'm attracted to and has great community, but just loves Jesus so much. And so it just gave me so much peace. And I've just, ever since then, like I was praying so much during our dating process, engagement, and then continuing on now.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
The ages you both were when you started dating, do you remember how old you each were?
I just turned 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was 25.
Yeah.
25. Yes.
25. Nice.
I will say too, when I just turned 24, I was so content in singleness. I was like, man, I'm ready for another year of being single. And then Logan, you know, a week later is like, hey, would you want to go get coffee one-on-one? I was like, wait, I just told God that I've been like, you know, I'm ready for another year.
Yeah. But then you also told Logan, like, hey, let's get coffee.
Yeah.
Kind of. I actually think that's a great idea. Like, as a woman that's like interested in a way, like kind of drop in like a hint almost. Like,
I will say though, like she said, we really had that was our first, you know, long conversation. It was probably 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
But I really I would have stayed there and continued the conversation with her. But I was with, you know, 10 people, a group of friends, and we were just kind of like dropping into this party and had to, it was late at that point, and we had to go to my friend's house to stay the night there for big plans that we had for the following day. It was the big Georgia-Tennessee game that year.
Yeah.
But I would say it was very natural. Like if she wouldn't have said that, then, or if I wouldn't have gone, then we would have still been talking. So we were definitely like right in the middle of the conversation. And I was basically being like pulled away.
Yeah.
And so I would have, it was very natural to say, and something that was definitely well received by me.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that like stuck out to me either. You know, it wasn't awkward. It wasn't weird. It was just very, you know, natural.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. So then y'all start dating sometime in the fall, winter of 2022. What was the dating process like? And specifically, how did you two think about like physical boundaries and the physical side of your relationship, both like having a relationship with Jesus and encouragement you'd give to single men and women around that side of dating?
Yeah, like Brittany said, we did everything backwards. That first coffee date was a 3.5 hour conversation with all of our dating history, our testimonies. And then we specifically talked about physical boundaries on the first coffee date. It wasn't even a true, I guess we didn't talk about physical boundaries on the first coffee date, but the first actual date, which kind of felt kind of like the same thing because it was 2 days later I asked her on a true date. But on the coffee date, we just let everything out there. And that's kind of how it led into our first date as well, is we just put everything out there, our intentions, our history, you know, that we're trying to find the person that we want to spend the rest of our lives with. And we don't want that to be clouded by physical attraction, sex, any sort of physical contact in that way, because we both in our past knew that didn't work out. You know, when you got close to somebody, it clouds your vision, it clouds your decision making. And we were truly looking for somebody that we wanted to spend the rest of our lives with, and we didn't want that sort of physical closeness and intimacy to cloud our decision making process, and also cloud our communication with the Lord, because when that gets in the way, you can kind of go around God and being like, oh, I want to seek this
Yeah.
instead of the Lord in certain situations.
Yeah. I will answer the first part of your question, but when we started dating, and even before that, I spent so much time journaling and praying over my future husband and my future marriage. Like, I had journal entries, and it's funny, like, I would be like, future husband, I don't know where you are, I don't know what you're doing, but I just pray that God is shaping you, right now. I hope that you're doing okay. I pray for protection over you. And it was really sweet. I got to share some of those journal entries on our wedding day, which was really, really sweet. Even on our coffee hang and our first official date, and a lot of the first dates, like, I would record myself, like, voice memos, and literally be like, I had an awesome time, like, with Logan today. This is what we did. This is what we talked about. Like, I was so specific, but I was just very intentional with, praying over my future husband, praying over Logan, praying over our dating process, that we would just honor God in it. And it was just really sweet to get to share that with Logan once we got married. And he was like, oh my gosh, you did this? And I'm like, yeah, I did this because, like, the Spirit led me to do that. And just seeing the fruit of that, but just, it makes me in awe of the Lord, of just, like, how kind he is, of that he has answered every single prayer that I prayed for and has given me more than that. And that's something that I would tell people. I'm like, Logan is everything that I prayed for and more, because that's just how amazing and good our God is. And as far as physical boundaries go, I am so proud of the way that we handled that, truly, but that is all from the Lord. We honestly faced temptations for sure, but we were very prayerful about it. We were honest with each other. We communicated with each other if we were like, oh, this is maybe, too far, or pushing a boundary. And I feel like God's honored that so much. And it was just so sweet to be able to fully embrace that, fully embrace sex, like, on our wedding night, because we were able to be fully intimate with each other, fully see each other, fully love and care for each other, because at that point we were like, we are one. We're in a covenant. And it was just, like, so beautiful to fully embrace that, because, like, it's supposed to be joyful. It's supposed to be great. Like, God created sex, and so being able to fully embrace that without having shame or guilt, it was just so beautiful. And even, like, if you're watching and you're still having sex with your partner and you're not married, like, it's not too late. You can still have a conversation with your partner and embrace that still, and God will honor that. And so if you have, been intimate with your partner, there is an opportunity for you to change that, and God will be honored in that.
Yeah, that's great. Did you all practically, like, come up with, like, here's what we're gonna do to try to, avoid the temptation of having sex before marriage, or, like, maybe like one or two pieces of wisdom you'd give other single men, Logan, around that specifically, like, leading those kind of conversations?
Yeah, we had a hard boundary or line that, like, clothes are staying on. Like, that was our boundary or line that we set from day one. You know, it's very hard to, not impossible, but, like, that's like gonna prevent sex, and it's going to make it very difficult, and it's kind of like a black or white, it's something that you can stick by, and something that you can be like, oh, we went too far, or oh, we were fine in that situation.
Yeah.
So practically was our rule from day one.
That's great.
Something that we stuck to.
Yeah. And then we went to Zion National Park, and, we had to, like, stay with each other, but we made it to where we could still honor the Lord in it, in our relationship. And so we got an Airbnb with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, so we wouldn't be, tempted, if we were staying like in one room with 2 separate beds, like, or something like that, and so we prioritized that to make sure that we could still honor the Lord and honor like our relationship, even though we wanted to travel with each other.
Yeah. That just sounds like, to me, as if I'm listening as a single man, like, well, obviously, like, I'm gonna be like attracted to who I'm dating, and why would I want to get 2 bedrooms? Like, it's gonna be more money, but
that's true though.
Yeah, but like, if you're committed to having that clear judgment, and you feel like that's really what was helpful about not crossing that boundary, you were able to kind of see clearly through the dating process if that's who you wanted to marry.
I would say for me, as the man leading the relationship, that was of utmost importance for me, because in the past, seeing how intimacy clouded my judgment, especially when it came to dragging on relationships, I had such clarity to be able to talk to mentors, be able to talk to peers, people that I'm close with in the church, and not having anything in the back of my head being like, oh, I'm telling you all this and you're giving me advice, but I still have this thing in the back of my head that I'm also considering, to where I can have clear judgment, and I can talk to God and be fully honest with God, and I can trust the clarity that I'm receiving from him. I can trust the advice I'm getting from my mentors and my peers, and I can truly open up my life, because honestly, in the past, and for anybody, it's hard to talk about, oh, I'm having sex with my girlfriend, and how does somebody respond to that, and how do you have clarity when that is clouding your judgment? So from a man's point of view, leading the relationship, I had so much peace, and that's why I think our relationship developed so quickly, and I was able to be so clear to be like, Brittany's my wife. And only a year from knowing her is because I had that clarity of not having any sort of physical kind of clouding of my vision.
So y'all started dating, when was it exactly?
No, we became officially boyfriend girlfriend November 20th, 2022.
Come on, November 20th. Okay, next day, Logan shares. When did you get engaged?
September 3rd.
Come on.
2023. Yeah.
Okay. So a little less than a year between boyfriend, girlfriend, and engagement.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
And then when was the wedding?
May 10th, 2024.
Yep.
Okay, nice. So May 10th, 2024. So what's marriage been like, and what would you say, like, not having sex has made your marriage better, or what could you speak about your experience, like, now being married in that regard?
Yeah. Oh, man. Marriage is such a blessing. It truly is. And just being able to have someone to also serve the Lord in God's kingdom with is just like so fruitful. And I just love being able to pour into our families, our community, strangers, coworkers with Logan, and just being able to deeply serve and love you and care for you so well in the way that I want to honor God in those things is just so beautiful to see. And just being able to live with you and get to know you. We just have such a goofy also friendship as well. And we just have so much fun together, but just also being able to show Logan the deep parts of me, like what my flaws, the positive things, the bad, the good, like, and for him to still fully, say like, I love you, no matter what, because I see you as daughter of a king. And I feel that, and I receive that, and I'm just so grateful for that. And because he is a man of God, he's able to love and serve and care for me well as well. So it's just such a blessing.
Marriage is awesome. Marriage is so awesome. I will say specifically, like, our wedding night was so beautiful. I'm obviously biased, but like the best wedding I've ever been to.
Me too.
Just,
Come on.
just that day was so incredible for me, and becoming one with another human being, I still have a hard time wrapping my mind around that. But I would say also, since we respected physical boundaries, just tying together that covenant and that union with sex on our wedding night was just, I felt so connected with you. I felt so known and seen by you, and like you said, so vulnerable, to where now in our marriage we fully trust one another. We fully are, I don't have to doubt in our covenant whether you're going to be there for me, if you're going to love me, if you're going to respect me, and just also hearing those vows that you say on your wedding day. It's just so beautiful to have that safety and security, and makes me want to lead our family and lead this covenant and relationship in a way that honors you and our commitment to each other.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing too. It's just like, when I started pursuing Logan, I thought to myself, like, is this the man that you could see that can lead you, lead your family, provide, and care for, for your future family in a way that honors the Lord? Is he going to do that? And on our wedding day, like, I firmly and confidently was like, yes, like, this is the man that I know is going to do that well. And I remember seeing a quote, and it was like, your spouse is your God-assigned partner in prayer and purpose. And I was like, this is my person that I'm going to go to war with, because when you're following Jesus, you are in the battle. And I'm like, this is the person that I am saying yes to, that is confidently, I want him to be my battle partner through everything and anything that may come our way. And I can confidently be like, I can rely on him and I trust in him. And so I'm just so grateful. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. For everyone that's listening, just like practically speaking, would love for you to touch on what the biggest blessing and the biggest challenge of being married has been.
I would say the biggest challenge is humbling yourself. The biggest challenge is humbling yourself, because you're going to have your way of doing things. You're going to have your thoughts and your ideas, but unfortunately, you have somebody else in this covenant that also gets a 50% say. So you have to be humble enough to fully consider what you think, but also give equal weight, not lesser weight, not 20%, 30%, 50% weight to what the other person thinks. And that takes humbling yourself and your ideas and your thoughts to exactly 50% of, the equation, and fully take into account your partner, what your partner thinks. And I think that's definitely the biggest challenge for me, but also at the same time, the biggest benefit is always having that other perspective, and always having, like you said, my battle partner here to go to war together with. I don't always have to come up with 100%. Sometimes I can't come up with 100%.
Yeah.
I can only come up with 50%. And so in those moments, you're there to support me. You're there to be my help me and get me through life circumstances, and ultimately being a blessing to others and building the kingdom.
Yeah. I love that. The biggest challenge, I would say, is you're gonna have conflict. There's gonna be disagreements in every marriage, and I would say when you are having conflict or disagreements, it's never you versus your partner. It's you and your partner versus the conflict, the disagreement, or the problem. And so just having to constantly remind each other that like we are not against each other.
Yeah.
We are a team.
Yeah.
And just having to remember that we are not supposed to be against each other, and just reminding that we're a team and that we are one and we're in a covenant. And so I would say that has been a challenge, especially, I mean, pickleball. We play pickleball together, and sometimes we have to remind each other, it's not you versus me, it's you and I versus pickleball. But then the biggest blessing is just that something that has been on my heart so much is just reaching to my family and praying for my family, for them to fully pursue a relationship with Jesus. And the biggest blessing is just, you know, having Logan to do that with, you know, and making not just our family our first ministry, but just even the family that are in front of us right now. It's not necessarily like our kids, our future kids, but it's like the family members that we're surrounded with now, you know, and just like, you know, constantly, you know, talking to Logan, like, hey, like you were put in my life, I was put in your life, like we need to be sharing the gospel with the people that are currently around us right now, and just being able to be that light and be that representation of what it's like to have a godly marriage and having a spouse who's also pursuing a relationship with Jesus. So that I just like love doing ministry with you, and just and how God has changed our life and is the center of our marriage.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Love that, y'all. And it's been awesome just to see how you each have grown from being single to dating, engaged, married. And yeah, I hope that's inspiring to single men and women that are listening now that are either Christians or they're not Christians now, and somehow they got sent this episode, and maybe, oh, I never thought about dating that way, or never thought about getting 2 rooms when I travel. Why would I do that? But hopefully it's encouraging to see some of the fruit that's come from that for both of y'all in y'all's marriage. Specifically speaking to single men, I'd love for you to touch on back when, if you could go back and talk to each of yourselves before you had met one another, back when you were still single. So you were 24, Brittany, 25, Logan, what you'd go back and tell that version of yourself, maybe like the day before you went to the fair, if you could go back and talk to that day.
Yeah.
For me, I would go back, and honestly, I wouldn't change a lot because of how things ended up, but I would continue to encourage myself to keep going and doing what I'm doing. At that point in time, I was, focusing on myself and going to the gym a lot. I had so many goals at the gym. I had goals in work, and after we started dating, I eventually reached my work goal to get a new job, and that was such a great blessing as well. So I was also at the time focusing on that. So I'd say for a single man, at the time I was, setting up for bringing somebody else into my life. So I was setting up physically, being a strong, capable man that is able to protect, a potential partner, I think is very important. And like she said, she feels confident that I'm the person that can go into battle with her. And, going to the gym and preparing physically can be part of that. Yes, it's also spiritually and emotionally, but physically, training yourself physically, and then also training yourself to provide. How are you going to bring somebody else into your life and then not be able to provide for that person, but also for your future family?
Yeah.
If your goal is truly to have a wife and to have somebody to build a family with, you're going to need to bear the responsibility as a man to provide for that wife, but also for that family. So I would say in my time of singleness, I would continue to encourage myself to put myself into that position, grow myself physically, but also in my career. And then lastly, of course, most importantly, in that time, I was going to our men's Bible study on Monday nights. I was serving the church in our student ministry, being a leader to our students in the ministry and pouring into the church, and also seeking wisdom and advice from our leaders in that Monday night church, or Monday night group.
Yeah.
So I would say continue to grow your relationship with the Lord and continue to be able to find clarity and peace from the Lord, because that's what is ultimately going to make you confident to be able to commit to your wife.
Yeah, really good. So if you could, we'll kind of close with this. Being toward the end of the podcast, I'm really wanting to try to reach single men that don't know Jesus through these conversations. So 2 questions here. If you could speak to a single man or woman who's listened to this whole episode to this point, someone sent it to them, popped up on their feed, and they currently have a relationship with Jesus, or they're a Christian, they're, pursuing their relationship with Jesus actively, and they're still single, and they're, down, or, when's it going to be my turn? Like, it's great, it worked out for Logan and Brittany, but it'll never happen for me. Like, what would you give as advice to that person that you'd want them to take away? And then second thing, a single man or woman who doesn't know anything about Jesus or isn't a Christian, didn't grow up in church, what would you want them to take away from y'all's story?
For me, I'll give a piece of advice that was given to me from one of our mentors, Clayton. He was actually on here as well. But he always says you're not supposed to be looking for your wife. You don't have to go and do it. That's, our story as well. I wasn't looking for a wife that day, but that it should be so easy. It should be so clear what you're doing. What the decision should be to go for a next date, for any sort of decision in the relationship. It should be super, super easy. So I would say don't worry about the timing. It's going to come in God's timing, and that it's, it should be so simple, so easy, and you should have complete and utter clarity about the relationship. And for somebody that doesn't believe in Jesus or God, or is kind of questioning, is looking for answers, I would say that maybe in your life you've seen that relationships, kind of come and go. People kind of just, when they get, what they want out of the relationship, it kind of just ends. And that's pretty much any relationship that's not founded on Jesus and the Lord, is that our relationship is a covenant. There's nothing that Brittany can do and nothing that I can do that can break this relationship or covenant, because it's based on the Lord.
What does that mean, that word covenant?
The word covenant is something that comes from God, actually. God made the first covenant when he created us, and also made a covenant with Jesus. He sent his son to die on a cross for us and created a covenant that says, hey, I'm sending my son as a sacrifice for me, for you, and for you, Carlton, and that it's something that can never be broken, no matter what. And the rock of that covenant that can never be broken is the Lord, because the Lord is forever. He created the universe. He was, he is, and he will be forever. And he's the one that is going to uphold time, this whole universe, everything around us. He created it, and he's going to uphold it. And if you base your relationship on that and his son, then that is never going to fail, because he's never failed in past generations. He's never failed because he always has been. He is right now, and he always will be. And so because the creator of the universe sees me and loves me and sent his son for me, that's what I'm basing my relationships on. That's what Brittany has said that she's going to base our relationship on. Our relationship is based off of knowing the Son of God, Jesus, reading about him in the Bible, and pursuing what he said to do. And that's the foundation of our relationship. So I know that the covenant, the everlasting love of God, is what I'm going to be pursuing, what Brittany's going to be pursuing. And if we're both looking up to a God that can never fail, how are we going to be separated from each other? Because if we're looking to a God that never fails, our gaze is going to be fixed on him. It doesn't matter what happens here, because I know that I've got God, and that is what our relationship is based off of, and that is kind of the essence of covenant.
Yeah, it sounds pretty attractive to me. If I could base something on that, that doesn't sound like it's going to change. Versus like, well, I'm kind of attracted to this girl. Maybe I should marry her or something. It just doesn't sound as convincing as what you just described.
Attractiveness fades, money fades, status fades, wealth fades, fame fades. All of these things that the world is trying to sell you, popularity, all follower count, all of these things, they can be taken away. They're not everlasting.
Yeah.
They're not, going to be there for all of time, and they're fickle. And if that fades, and if that's what the foundation of your relationship you want to base that on, go ahead. But it can crack and it can break.
Yeah.
And when it does, you're going to be left with nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Thanks, man. That was great.
That was well said, my love. Sorry, I call him my love.
No, that's great. I love it.
But for me, what I would tell single man and woman is, are you actively praying for your future spouse in your future marriage? Yeah. Are you doing that? But as well as remind them that if God gave you the spouse that you're supposed to end up with in your timing, you're going to be left disappointed. And just be praying currently over your spouse that God is equipping and preparing them to be the spouse that God is calling them to be. Because I will say, I looked back on journal entries and I asked Logan what he was doing at these certain times. And there were several of journal entries where I was praying for him, but he was in the middle of a breakup or he was still in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is funny. I say in the journal entry that, God, I have a feeling that he's not in Georgia right now. And really, in fact, he was in North Carolina. And so just really being intentional with that, saying very intentional prayers over your spouse and over your future marriage. And then for the single man or woman who aren't following Jesus currently, is that it's not too late. You following Jesus is the most important decision and the most life-changing decision you'll ever make in your life. I remember being told that there are two important decisions that you can make in your life. Number one is following Jesus, and number two, who you choose as a spouse. And it's very important for number one, but just that you will be able to love and serve, care, invest, pour into your spouse the way that you're supposed to when you're following Jesus. Because there are things that are in your marriage that the world is going to want to attack on. And you need the foundation of your faith and your relationship with Jesus to withhold your marriage. Because there are things that are going to try to go against it. The world is full of temptation and evil and brokenness, and you need the root and the foundation of your faith to be exploited in your marriage. And so that must come first. and having your identity founded on Christ, so it's not founded in somebody else.
Yeah. Wow. Really good, y'all. So grateful for both of y'all. Love you so much. And man, just a incredible episode. So I hope everybody tuning in this week got something out of it. If you did, would love for you to leave a comment below on YouTube or on Spotify. You can leave a comment and let myself, Logan, and Brittany know anything that stuck out to you. I know we'd be encouraged to hear that. And I'd love for you to share the episode with a friend if you think a friend of yours would benefit from hearing Logan and Brittany's story, or the Single Man podcast in general. Would love for you to text them the link, say, hey, check out this episode. I think you'd really enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed the episode overall. And as we come down to the end, 52 episodes, just a few to go here. And yeah, just love y'all. Looking forward to more great times ahead as y'all's son. So
amen.
Amen. Hope everybody has a great rest of your Friday, and we'll be back next week with a new episode. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Single Man Podcast. If someone you know would benefit from this week's episode, I'd love for you to text them the link and invite them to listen. You never know how a simple invitation could change someone's life. We'll be back next Friday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, with a new episode. Until then, check out the video version of the podcast on YouTube, and you can engage with us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.